that might lead directly to a job, Esme had slowly realised it was assumed she would follow the example of her mother and marry well. When she left school, her father had patted her hand and humoured her when she expressed a desire to follow her passion and study art. But now Bill Cartwright had given her a chance, offering her temporary lodging and a job in his London gallery. It had become a standing joke that she wanted a job, so she felt slightly vindicated that she had done her History of Art course and now deserved her position at the gallery. She was to be that lowest rung of the art world ladder, a receptionist, sitting prettily front of house, filing her nails in between making tea and coffee. No matter. Perfectly shaped nails would pay just enough for her to survive on for a while, especially since the job came with the bedsit above the gallery. She had allowed her father to pay for her train ticket, but refused his offer of a weekly allowance. It would have been too easy to rely on family funds, and if she was going to become independent, she would have to be frugal and spend her salary wisely. And anyway, the money her parents had gained from selling their London residence had now been mostly eaten up by overdue bill payments, or her father's addiction to antiques meant it was hanging on walls or lying unworn in her mother's jewellery box. But there was no need to worry about money until she had to move out of the gallery and pay proper rent, and that wouldn't be for a few weeks. Instead, her first priority was to find and make friends, to live the real London life and frequent the nighteries she hadn't read about in social columns, while spending her salary on essentials. She didn't want so much to become a better person, but a cooler, more independent one. Someone who had the courage of her convictions, once she had discovered what those were. "Don't worry, love. Everything will be here when you get back, just the same. It will be you who have changed," Mrs. B. had said as they drove to the station. Esme opened the carriage door now. Mrs. B. was right. The Tuesday sleeper was almost empty. Just a few scattered passengers inhabited the berths in second class. The housekeeper helped Esme board with her small bag and one extremely large wooden crate. "Oh, where are we going to put this thing?" The cubicle was a womb of tartan and plastic wood panelling and contained everything a passenger required for an overnight stay. Leather straps ran from the top bunk base to the ceiling, so it could be flipped up for day travel when it became a regular compartment for first-class customers. The beds had been turned down and gifted with a packet of shortbread. It was compact to the point of being claustrophobic, especially with a socking-great wooden packing case crammed in. "You're the one who insisted I bring it, Mrs. B." Esme was still reeling from the death of the Earl of Culcairn, and the fact that he had left her a painting in his will. The Earl and his family lived at the castle, and as neighbours to the Munroes at the lodge, it was natural the families became friends. But the Earl and her mother Diana had become much more than friends. News of their affair had been discovered when Esme was too young to understand what infidelity was. Her father had yelled for a couple of hours, and then, like anything that would crack the facade of respectability, it was swept under the carpet and never spoken of again. And now the Earl was gone, and her mother might as well have been too, her body nearly as fragile as her spirit. Esme's eyes felt heavy with unshed tears, but she'd walked out the door without putting a handkerchief in her pocket again. The letters the Earl had written to her at boarding school, and his words of advice and encouragement still resonated today.